This is not a story about diplomacy failing. It is a story about the condition of American global leadership at the exact moment it is being tested most severely. Donald Trump personally asked the leaders of the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Japan, Canada, and Australia to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz. Every single one said no. Not conditionally, not after consultations. No. The most powerful military alliance system in human history, built over 80 years of shared security architecture, produced a unanimous refusal when the United States asked its closest partners to stand beside it in the most strategically critical waterway on Earth. The mainstream coverage is treating this as a diplomatic setback. I am treating it as a historical data point about the current state of the Western alliance that every person watching this needs to understand fully. Before we go deeper, hit the subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. What the unanimous Allied refusal actually reveals about the structural condition of American alliances right now is a story with implications that extend far beyond this conflict and far beyond this strait. Subscribe now. I will wait. Here is the fast version of the request and the refusals. The United States asked Allied navies to contribute to a naval presence mission at the Strait of Hormuz. The stated objective was to demonstrate collective resolve, deter Iranian interdiction of commercial shipping, and protect the free flow of energy that all of these nations depend on. The Strait of Hormuz carries approximately 20% of the world's daily oil supply. Every nation that refused Trump's request has its own economy directly affected by the disruption of that supply. Japan imports approximately 90% of its oil through the strait. South Korea imports approximately 70%. Germany, France, and Italy are paying elevated energy prices every day the strait remains under Iranian pressure. The economic self-interest of every nation asked to participate aligned, on its face, with the mission they were being asked to join. And they still said no. That gap between economic self-interest and political decision is where the real story lives. Let me walk you through each refusal, because the pattern across 9 governments tells you something no single refusal would. The United Kingdom cited the absence of a UN Security Council mandate and the unilateral American decision-making that initiated the conflict. British officials noted publicly that Operation Epic Fury was launched without consulting NATO allies in advance. Germany's foreign ministry cited the need for a diplomatic solution and incompatibility with German foreign policy principles. France went further. The French foreign minister said France could not join a mission it had not been consulted about at inception. He used a phrase every alliance analyst I have read this week flagged immediately. France was not a party to decisions it was now being asked to enforce. Read that again. A senior French minister publicly stated that the United States made a war and is now asking allies to bear its consequences without having sought their counsel first. Japan's refusal carries the most strategic weight of any individual response. Japan imports more oil through the strait than almost any other nation on Earth. Its economy is directly harmed by every day the strait remains under Iranian pressure, and Japan still said no. Japanese officials cited constitutional constraints on military deployment outside self-defense contexts, but analysts at the Japan Institute of International Affairs noted this week that the constitutional argument, while technically accurate, is also politically convenient. Japan has interpreted those constraints flexibly when it wanted to join coalition operations before. The rigidity here reflects a political decision about the wisdom of joining this specific American operation, not an absolute legal barrier. Canada's refusal came with the most direct language of any government. A senior Canadian official cited by the Globe and Mail described the request as asking Canada to clean up a mess it had no part in making. That sentence captures the political logic of every refusal in compressed form. Australia cited the need for a multilateral framework before committing naval assets. Translation: Australia will not join a unilateral American operation. The UN Security Council cannot produce that sanction because Russia and China will veto any legitimizing resolution. Australia knows this. The multilateral framework condition is a diplomatic formulation of a political no. Now, what nobody is covering with sufficient depth: The Allied refusals are not just disagreement with this specific operation, they are the visible surface of a structural shift in how American allies are calculating alliance commitment that has been building for years. Dr. Ivo Daalder, former U.S. ambassador to NATO and president of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, published an assessment this week I have read in full. His conclusion is direct. The refusals reflect a credibility gap between American alliance commitments and American alliance behavior that predates this conflict. Allies do not join operations they were not consulted about. That principle is not new. What is new is the willingness of 9 allied governments to state it publicly and simultaneously.